Hi, my friends. We're gonna do a video because that's what we do on YouTube. Although I'm increasingly not interested in dealing with YouTube. Hey, I don't feel like necessarily doing like review videos the way I had in the past, but I do have some decks that are new that I want to talk about. So I figured I would just kind of show some cards, talk about them, just informal, very cash, and then that would be that, and I would just kind of talk rather than just doing separate videos. So just it'll be in the title, but the three decks that I'm going to do are the Avian Tarot, Tarot of the Woodland Wardens, and the Infinite Door. But before we get there, dun, boink, the book is here. So the book's out. My book's out. The new one. This is my third book. My first published by a publisher. And I was specifically looking for small press, and I wound up. Actually, I'm very lucky. The two that I queried were both interested, both made offers, and I went with the one that made me feel like the belle of the ball, ultimately. Actually, it was really a matter of timing, but I'm very, very happy. So here it is. I mean, I'm not going to do a walkthrough of a book for you, but I'm very excited. So, it is, you can find it anywhere. Finding it anywhere. Like, so you can order it anywhere. And I encourage you to do that through your local witchy shop, queer-owned, black-owned businesses, etc. That's the way to do it. But if you have to get it on Amazon, then leave a 5-star review for me, because that will also help. I'm not going to tell you where to do your shopping, but if you have the necessity of book buying on large public marketplaces and you wanted to leave a review, that would be fine. In fact, I'm going to do a little bit of a giveaway. I typically don't do giveaways, but if you leave a review of the book somewhere in public, right? Like Amazon, if you deal with that. If you do a review here or on Instagram or wherever, tag me or send me a screen cap of it. And on October or after October 31st, I'm going to do a giveaway for a signed copy of all three of my books. This one, The Modern Fortune Teller's Field Guide, and then Your Tarot Toolkit, and then my first book, Tarot on Earth. And a hour-long session. So a reading, a tarot and Reiki reading, or a coaching session, or just a tarot bullshitting session, just as a thank you, because it's hard to rise above the algorithm, right? And so anything that anyone does to sort of fluff up the book in public is good for the book. It's good for what the book's about, and it also increases the likelihood that other sort of like-minded people who don't know me and don't know my work may find it. So that's that. And I'll do more than, like, I'll probably do like give away three sets of those. But yeah, I love how the book came out. I love, that Gabby, the designer, did an awesome job. I love the kind of punk, I just feel like I always say it's like very metal. And it's different from my other books too, in that it's a book, it's not a workbook. So while there are activities and things in the book, it's mostly text-based thoughts and essays and feelings on being a fortune teller today. It's not a how-to book in the sense of here's how you read cards, although I do give my little white book, kind of what I call my little white book, in the last chapter of this one. But it's about being a fortune teller. It's about being a reader. That's what this book is really about. It's about being a card reader, or even bone casting. I reference Lenormand and bone casting. Tarot's the principal thing that I talk about here, but those two as well. So, again, it's available now anywhere you can buy books. Share it, buy copies for your friends, share it on Instagram, tag me. Again, like, I don't feel bothered by that. Like, it's good for the book, it's good for me, it's good for the publisher, Cross Crow, who I really like. So there you go. So I'm really proud of it. It's interesting to have the experience of having self-published two books, which I'm proud of. Like, I didn't decide to not self-publish my third book because I have any issue with self-publishing. It was more about trying to reach a different audience, I guess, or an increased audience, because I'm not very good at getting attention. So that's that. But I'm very proud of it. And I also should say that the first page of each chapter is this dope-looking sort of black background, white text. So if you have low vision or contrast issues, Cross Crow has put the first page of each chapter on the product page on their website. So if you're struggling with the contrast of white text on a black background, go to the Cross Crow website and you can get the first page as a PDF of each chapter. But there's also an ebook. So, yes, ebook. All of that's available. There will be an audiobook. I'm exploring what that looks like right now. So, there's that. So, tarot decks that are recent. So, this is the Avian Tarot. And, again, it's not, like, I don't have any problem with walkthroughs. I just don't feel like doing them as much as I used to. This is a local artist not far from me. And, beautifully produced deck. Guidebook that comes with it is wonderful. And you need the guidebook because this deck has 78 different birds from around the world. And it's a black and white pen and ink drawing with, pen and ink, it's pen and ink with kind of gold, not like, luckily, happily, not like shiny gold, but this just sort of like goldish. It's not even metallic really. But it's absolutely beautiful artwork. And, I mean, look at that High Priestess. Come on. You know what I mean? It's really, really excellent work and really well researched. And if you are a birder, if you are, exploring the natural world, this is a great deck for you. It is well researched, as I said. You need the guidebook if you want. Obviously you can read this just aesthetically, but if you want to know why the bird was chosen and sort of what's going on with that, you want to look at the guidebook. And so you could use this as a tarot deck. You could use it as an oracle deck. I have not used it yet because I have not had time to sit down and look through the guidebook. But I'm just, anytime I'm looking for new tarot decks, I'm always looking for something interesting. And I've seen this creator at events I've been reading at. And when I'm reading at events, I usually don't have time to talk to anybody. It's reading. So, usually I do a loop around the event first to just sort of see like what I could be spending money on if I weren't making money. And so I've seen this, but so I went to a thing recently where I wasn't reading. I went to a market, one of the Grimoire Academy markets, and the creator was there, and I was just so amazed by the work, and I finally got to talk to the creator and got her to sign the deck. So Avian Tarot, local to me anyway, artist, and I think it's really cool. I have 2 animal decks that I'm showing you today, which is funny because I typically, over the years of my reading, I've gone back and forth on animal decks. Like, there was a time where everything was so, relentlessly, straight and white and abled that it was, animal decks kind of felt like a balm, and there are even videos, I don't think I've taken them down. There are videos in the past where I sort of said, well, it's a solution to the diversity problem. And it wasn't, the diversity problem sounds awful. What I meant was, it's if there's no people in the deck, then at least no one feels seen. It was the thing of well, if you can't get everyone to feel seen, then let no one feel seen. Sort of let God sort them out. But there is people are so exhausting. People are just so terrible that it's actually sometimes nice to sort of look at animal decks because it's ugh. So that's this. So I pre-ordered this mostly because of the magician card that I had seen. One of my sisters sent me the magician card, and I was like, oh, I love that, so cute. And I'm not, again, I don't do whimsy very much. Although, I do have a few decks that I love, including Stephanie Buscema's Silver Acorn, which incidentally is coming back. And the Queer Crow Death Magic Tarot, which I've showed on this channel, is also a second edition's being kickstarted, so I'll try to remember to leave that in the description. So this is Tarot of the Woodland Wardens, and I really love the artwork. The cardstock is a big problem for me. And this is I posted about this on Instagram. I tagged some of the publishers. It's a problem. It's not a taste thing. when I started reading, I never really thought about cardstock unless it was so bad that I just couldn't use the deck. And the two decks that were like that I can recall from back then were the Inner Child cards, and which was a Fairy Tale Tarot, and the Voyager, which wasn't as bad in retrospect as I thought it was. And actually, they reprinted it in a slightly smaller, slightly better cardstock. This seems to be the same cardstock that Hay House is using, and it's too fucking thick. For anyone with small hands, anyone with dexterity issues, it's actually thicker than the box allows, and you're not like stuck in there, you know what I mean? Like they won't, but they're sliding around because there's at least, oh god, what is that? I'm going backwards. There's at least 5 cards more depth that is needed for this deck to actually fit in this box. And to shuffle it is an absolute bear. Like, it overhands fine. It doesn't overhand excellent, but it overhands fine. I'm a riffle shuffler for a reason. It's not because I want to look cool. It's because it mixes the cards better and more quickly. And that's what I need from cardstock. This is not good for people with small hands, arthritis, other dexterity challenges. If you're reading a lot in succession, you know what I mean? Like, this is a workout. So I'm very disappointed because, like, the cards, the artwork is wonderful. It manages to sort of skirt this sort of too cute / too cloying and a usable deck. And I've done some readings with this, and I like it a lot. It's a Waite Smith deck. It's a thing that a lot of people don't like, which is sort of animals behaving like people. That never bothers me, because why shouldn't they? You know what I mean? Like, and I just think the artwork is rich, and, like, the colors are rich. And, it's just, I don't know. It's like, it does, one of the things that happens with a deck like this is that it does have a sort of neutrality, because we, as people, don't necessarily read animal emotions unless they're sort of looking shockingly human, like when it looks like a dog smiling sort of thing. So we're not necessarily kind of projecting an emotion onto the images, which I like. And they're also just like, they're very cute. But like they're cute in like a way of being, I don't know, it's like it's an elegant animal deck, I would say. And so that's why I'm so disappointed with the cardstock, because I actually really like the deck. I love this devil. I love this bat with his fangs. Baby Dracula here. Come on. Give me a frickin' break. There we go. I love them. He's got a cape on. I'm saying he because Dracula's my boyfriend. The tower is great. The star, I just really think it's a sweet, but not cloying, not silly, and again, there are, there's silly decks out there that are great, but it's just not a thing I look for. Anyway, I really like the deck itself. I really like the artwork. The cardstock is such a problem. This is, Hay House is doing this. US Games is doing this now with this glossy, thick-ass cardstock that they're using. Schiffer has always been problematic and continues to be, although they've improved slightly. So this is it's Rider-Waite Smith, so you're just seeing animals doing the Rider-Waite Smith scene, but just in a lovely, I don't know. It is cute, but I don't find, again, it reminds me a little bit more of like illustrations from like a witchy storybook, not necessarily like a children's book. I don't know. I just really like it. I know there's an Oracle deck. This is not, incidentally, a Hay House deck, but it feels, in production, from soup to nuts, they must use Hay House printer or distributor, because it feels exactly like a Hay House deck. Or they're a imprint of Hay House or something. Whoops. But yeah, no, I love the deck. And I do. There's a couple cards that are these kind of slightly pippish because they're snakes or eels or something. And actually, I really sort of wish more of the cards looked like that. But again, I don't. It's like Waite Smith, but again, there's like a neutrality to it that I don't know. I like a lot. I'm sorry to my friend who can't stand certain amphibians. The Suit of Cups has a lot of them in this. Boink. So we'll just sort of move quickly. But again, you can see like the color tones are so rich, and it's sort of elegant. Like I feel like an elegant. The animals have elegance. I feel like, which is, I don't know. I think it's nice. And there is something nice about not seeing people. Like I always say, tarot's about people, so I sort of want to see people in tarot decks, but like I'm just looking at it again, and there's something like, oh, thank God it's not people, you know? Like, oh God, I'm so sick of people and their opinions. Which, as an opinionated person, like, it's like, who the fuck are you to say that? But it's like, oh my God, like, I'm sick of my own opinions. So there are only like 2 other animal decks I've ever really connected with. I mean, there's the one that I showed, Stephanie Buscema's Silver Acorn. There's the Wild Unknown, and then there's the Anima Mundi. And I think those are the major ones. There's others that I like and don't use much. But now, I don't know. Anyway. So, the artwork I'm a big fan of. Simply the cardstock is the issue for me with this one. So, I don't know. Hopefully by framing it the way it really is an accessibility issue, we'll change some minds. I don't know, folks. I feel very pessimistic in a lot of ways, but that's not what we need right now. So, Tower of the Woodland Wardens, very, very nice artwork. Really enjoy it. Yes, this cardstock. I'm so disappointed by the cardstock. I shouldn't be surprised, but I am. Because I actually really would use this deck. This next deck I actually really will use and have already used. Actually, I used this too. I used the Tower of the Woodland Wardens for my blog last week. The Infinite Door. This is an interesting deck. This was Impulse by Central. And really there's no pictures on the box to even give you a clue of what you're looking at. And I Googled it in the bookstore, and it was like an interview with with Pamela Love, who's a jewelry designer in Vogue. So there was a part of me that was immediately like, and yet I was like, I don't know. I Googled, I saw like 2 or 3 of the cards. So Pamela Love is not the artist. This is a deck, I would describe this as sort of designed by Pamela Love with art by Chris Meniecki. And there's no information about either the artist or Pamela Love in the guidebook. This feels like one of those things that like someone sort of well known in their world was like, I'll do a tarot deck because why not? Except that it's also a really good deck, and I really, really like it. There's no discussion really in the guidebook about the art at all. There's actually very little in this guidebook of any kind. So I don't even really know what to say about that. But it's interesting. This cardstock I actually really love, and I'll shuffle it for you. It's matte, but it feels like art paper almost. It's very thin, but not too thin, and it actually shuffles quite nice. It's a large-ish deck, card size, but I, with my small hands, can shuffle it, and I can do it top to bottom, but you can also side to side this one. The critique that I have about this deck is that it defaults white. All or most of the primary big character energy humanoids in this deck appear to be white. They're not across the board that way, and actually most of the humanoids in this deck don't have normal bodies or faces or whatever. They're wearing masks, so it's a very kind of surrealist, it's almost Dali-ish. Dali as in the artist. Like, this fool is wearing a mask. Anyway, that quibble aside, and I've been saying this about decks now for ages, I really like the artwork. Like, it's very strange, and this is one of those where it was like, why did I buy this? Like, this deck was another one where it was like, no, not much on the box other than this, and these 3 cards are like not even the best cards in the deck. But I grabbed it off the shelf and was like, you're coming with me for some reason. Same with this one. I expected to be disappointed by this, so the fact that I have low and I actually really like the back. It weirdly matches my my reading cloth. So, just keeping an eye on the time because my camera tends to cut out on me around this mark. So you can see that a lot of the figures don't have faces or heads. It's sort of like the Saki tarot in that way. Or they have a human body and an animal head or whatnot. It's a very... Some of the cards... Like, I don't love the Magician and I don't love the Lovers. Those are probably the ones I like the least. And they just feel like they're from a different deck, and I think that's why. And they remind me of another deck that I had and didn't like. But the rest of the cards are quite cool. And I actually avoided doing any research on the creator or the artist because I'm really, like, sometimes you can just know too much. You know, because I like the deck. It's weird, it's strange, it's evocative, it reads really nice, the card stock's great. It's like, this Temperance card reminds me of the Cups cards in Crowley, in the Frida Harris paintings of the Cups for the Thoth deck. So there's interesting, this Devil card is interesting, it's evocative, it's strange, and in a way that as a tarot reader to me is very exciting, because it's not necessarily projecting an emotional reality, but hinting at one. And that I find cool. I love this Judgment card for some reason. Now, the deck does kind of jump around stylistically. And listen, if you know anything about this deck that I don't want to, please don't tell me. I just want to enjoy this deck until I get sick of it, at which point, then tell me whatever the tea is, right? Like, I don't want to know. I just want to enjoy one thing for the moment. You know what I mean? Before I have to hate it. Stylistically, it jumps between a sort of like collage-y modern to this sort of surrealist, Dali-esque or Bosch-y sort of situation. But I find it quite cool. I really do. I find it interesting and strange. That's the word I have for it. But it also feels very tarot somehow. So I'm just going to move a little more quickly. Like, when you look at the hands on a lot of the figures, you can't see anything but their hands, and their hands are usually white. You know, not always, but a lot of them. I just really like it. I think for a long time, I don't know. I guess, for a long time I didn't think the cards had much to do with it. It was the system, kind of, right? And then it was numbers and whatever I was working with at that time. Elements, astrology, whatever. And I don't know, more and more I sort of feel like these things, these images, they're just supposed to trigger ideas, trigger impulses that are somehow kind of translating messages. And I don't know, it just sort of feels like that's artwork like this is, or even like very abstracted or non-representational artwork can be very, very good at triggering those kinds of messages. In the same way that sort of a pip deck can do it if you have a system that you have really embodied, because I guess it's the strangeness of images like this that like trigger us in a good way. And that's maybe why I responded to this, because it's obviously Waite Smith, but it's Waite Smith in a way that is very different from anything I've seen before. And when a Waite Smith deck does that, and they strangify something that we've seen a lot, I just feel like we we get more inspired almost, because it's forcing us out of what we know, which is one reason why I don't think I could ever just limit myself to one deck. Because just mixing them up from time to time, I feel like is good for the brain, or it's good for the intuition, right? It's otherwise we'll get stuck in patterns, we'll get stuck in ruts. But if we occasionally, I don't mean you need hundreds of decks, but if you occasionally switch, when I go to an event, I'll usually bring at least 2 with me, sometimes 3, and I'll primarily use one most of the night, but I have the option of switching things up. If a deck starts to feel tired, or like it's giving me the same message over and over again, then I'll just switch to the other one and let it rest. And that seems to do the trick. Like, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I don't think the pieces of paper get tired. Maybe they do. I think our brain gets tired. Or I think our brain starts to our brains want to go to the easiest answer, right? Because our brains are there to keep us safe. That's what our brains are there to do. And intuition is part of that. So when we're doing readings, I love, this is it's a strange deck. This is a strange 7 of Pentacles, but I love it. Same thing with this 8. There's just a very cool strangeness, and that, I think, wakes the brain up, right? And makes it has to work a little bit harder. So if we're using the same images, if we're using the same art all the time, then the brain is like, well, I know what that means. That's the King of Pentacles, and that or the King of Wands, and that salamander means this and that, whatever. You know what I mean? But when we have to kind of shake up what we think we know, I didn't give that a very good shuffle, but it actually is quite a nice shuffling deck. He says, I always do, because first of all, I fucking hate having a reading cloth. I hate them. I hate having a reading cloth, because they bunch up on me. So the only reason I have this here is because the table's got wax on it, and I haven't had time to do, not that I haven't had time, I haven't had the interest in getting the wax off of it, or just resurfacing this table, which is really just a plank of wood over some storage drawers, because we have such limited storage here. So this riffle and overhands nicely. I'm being a little clumsy in my shuffling today, but I really like this cardstock. The publisher of this is Sterling Ethos. I have other decks of theirs and books of theirs, but I can't remember what they are. Anyway, it shuffles really nice. So those are I like this a lot, I really do, and I'm planning on bringing it with me to the next thing I'm doing. One thing, if you get this deck, this is one of the weird things, I usually put the book underneath. This book needs to go on top, because it kind of stops the cards from sliding out of the box. It's a nice box, and it fits nicely, but if the cards, because it opens from the top, if you put the cards in after the guidebook, there's nothing keeping the cards in the box, and they'll slide out, and that happened to me the other night, so just know that. That's it! That's the decks that I've got to show you, and this is the new book, The Modern Fortune Teller's Field Guide. Pick it up wherever fine books are sold. Get your local bookstore to order it. Like, I want to see my book in the bookstores. I think that's it. Take care, be well, and we'll talk soon. Bye. Be good. I always need to say be good for some reason. Be good. Not that anyone is good, but do it. Alright, bye.